And without further ado, Stepmom Lauren, at the running back position, who do you have as your league winner? Who are you telling your listeners? Who are you going to tell Whisper Nation, look, step away with your draft with this guy, and you've got the upside to take it all home?
Right here.
Hey, Whisper Nation, before we get you to your video, I just wanted to remind you that this Saturday, August 8th, we are doing a 24-hour live mock draft marathon. We're going to be streaming it here on our YouTube channel. So make sure you hit that subscribe and hit that bell so you get notified when we start going live. We've got a lot of big name people joining us for mock draft. So if you want to join in on the mock drafting, make sure you're here on our channel and you're subscribed and hit that bell. All right, let's get you to that video.
Now it's time for the main event, guys. We're here to talk about league winners for the 2020 season. So let's jump into this right away. And without further ado, Stepmom Lauren, at the running back position, who do you have as your league winner? Who are you telling your listeners? Who are you going to tell Whisper Nation, look, step away with your draft with this guy, and you've got the upside to take it all home?
This may be super spicy and controversial.
I love it. We wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah.
Austin Eckler.
Austin Eckler.
That sounds
Johnny's going to hate
hideous.
this one.
I take back what I just said. What are we doing? Let's I think we're done recording now. I think we're done
No
recording.
way. You shush your mouth. I'm going to let you finish, but Stepmom Lauren's got a spicy take here.
All
Take
right.
it away.
I like that you can get him second, maybe third round. I like that he does not have Melvin Gordon there anymore. He's a friggin' Swiss Army knife. He is explosive. I like his opportunity a lot, and I think it's going to be – these are always someone you never really expect, and I maybe I just wanted to be Austin Eckler so much because I love him so much, but I really, really like his 2020 outlook this year for sure. I'm so excited to see what he does in this offense.
Speaking of excited, dude, have you watched his videos where he's doing one-arm pull-ups in his backyard on his squat rack? That gets you excited, dude. Like, yeah, that guy is incredible. I think all the excitement's there. Obviously, Johnny and I have talked about we're kind of steering clear of him just based on the fact that he's never really done the volume thing. Anthony Lynn has come out and said that that's true. But Anthony Lynn has come out and said that the other backs on the team are going to help carry this load. And I think that's what the Chargers want to do here. So for me, I just don't know if I buy it all the way, but I do like your point about maybe getting him, if he slips to the third and he's your third player off the board, for sure, I think that becomes a value. And then, you're talking if he does hit a top 5 running back within the third round, that's huge. That's definitely going to bring home some championships.
I could have gone with my normal go-tos, which were Todd Gurley, Le'Veon Bell, David Johnson. Those are like my 3 boys that I love, but I wanted to be a little bit different. Think outside my stepmom.
I love it. No, I love it.
So,
I have an issue with it just because I don't think he could be as efficient as he was last year. And I mean, like, I'm willing to make the gamble. Like I was saying that about Alvin Kamara a few years ago, and I was wrong. Like Alvin Kamara is a really efficient and good running back, and it works for him. I just don't think the same is with Eckler. Like Travis said, I'm concerned with the workload total. And I'll say, like, Tyrod Taylor does not throw like he's going, like Eckler is going from the dump off king to Tyrod Taylor, who instead of dumping off, he lowers his head and he runs. And now if the rookie comes in, then that could be a little bit different story. I'd actually probably like him a little bit more. I could say, okay, I could see a lot of dump off still, but I just think that people are drafting him at the production that we saw last year and buying into it. And I'm not sure if it's going to be there. It reminds me a lot of Tyreek Cohen 2 years ago, where he was super efficient. We overdrafted him. He was going in the 4th, 5th round. And then what ended up happening, he was not nearly as efficient. The touchdowns fell off, and that was the issue. So that's where I stand.
Right, Johnny, Mr. Know-It-All, Mr. Smarty Pants. Who's your running back league winner then? We got to hear it.
My running back league winner is the only, I actually should have put him on the wall today. It was my bad. But that is David Johnson, running back now for the Tennessee.
You're just playing to Stepmom Lauren, dude. Playing to the guest.
No. We just have good taste. That's all.
That's true.
Yeah. So David Johnson. Hey, we all know the dramatic showdown that went on this summer with Bill O'Brien and Hopkins, and because of that big old mess, now we have David Johnson going to Houston. Now, a lot of people are super disappointed because of what David Johnson has returned to them over the last 2 years, and so they are staying away and staying clear. And even the sound of me bringing up his name has people cringing and saying, Johnny, disregard this because I don't want him anywhere near my team this year. I'm staying away from that landmine. And I would say reconsider, please, because we have been talking David Johnson and Todd Gurley a lot this offseason, but guess what? Whose ADP has not moved one single bit? That is that is David Johnson. Todd Gurley's has moved. Let me remind people of this, okay? David Johnson will get over 250 touches. We know that for a fact because Bill O'Brien has done that with his lead back since the beginning of time. I understand the argument. I don't know, Johnny, if he still has it. It seemed like David Johnson was on his last leg the last time I saw him. If Arizona didn't want him, why would he be good? Like, why wouldn't they keep him if he was good? But let me remind you, because it's recency bias, and I understand how much David Johnson disappointed. But in the very first 6 weeks of last year, these were his finishes. Again, with the Arizona Cardinals, RB8. RB32, not that good, but check this out. RB12, RB11, RB11, RB4. That is 5 out of 6 weeks he was an RB1, and now all of a sudden he's coming off the board as like RB22? Are you kidding me? This guy has upside of an RB1 all day long. He's going to get the volume. I know that from BO, so I don't understand why he isn't going higher. It baffles me.
Yeah, there's
Don't
usually
tell anybody. Let him stay.
Yeah,
I know, right?
There's usually that guy within that,
right?
Yeah, 100%. Like there's usually that guy within that second or third round. I think of a couple years ago it was Todd Gurley. Everybody was skipping Todd Gurley, and then all of a sudden he blasted up was RB1. I think this is easily could be made the case for David Johnson here because he's set up, and that offense is going to be all over the high octane ability. So it's not going to be that different from the David Johnson offenses that made him RB1 in the past, like a good quarterback, a lot of wide receivers, and like just push the ball down the field. So really love David Johnson's outlook this year, and the ADP. All that risk is baked right into that ADP for him.
And last thing I'll say is the year that he popped off and he was the RB1 overall, guess what scheme he was running in? The zone run scheme. Guess what BO runs? The zone run scheme, the same one. So it's all adding up. It just doesn't add up in the industry for some reason. So I'm telling Whisper Nation.
He's got a big chip on his shoulder. Bill O'Brien promised him he's going to be able to run the game that David Johnson wants to run. So he is sold on Houston. And if you're personally invested, personally sold, and you got a chip on your shoulder to prove that you're still that guy, let me have some David Johnson.
I mean, look at Bill O'Brien's history with running backs that have kind of been forgotten. Lamar Miller had some good years with Bill O'Brien in Houston, and Carlos Hyde. You know, we want to talk a bunch of crap about Carlos Hyde, but he did well last year as far as numbers are concerned. I think David Johnson's got a little more in the tank than those two guys did when they got to Houston. So I think that's a great pick. I went a little bit deeper than you guys at running back. And it's funny because I think Stepmom Lauren's not really going to love this pick, but I went with Ronald Jones as the RB32 coming off the board in the 8th round. She was talking a little bit of smack about Ronald Jones earlier, but here's the thing, dude. In the 8th round as your, RB3, I think the upside is tremendous here. You know, our early projections in our draft kit, which you can get at thefantasywhispers.com, has Tom Brady throwing for about 40 touchdowns with those two wide receivers. Okay, if that is the case, he's throwing for 40 touchdowns. This offense is going to be pushing the ball down the field. Last year, Ronald Jones has 11 games with double-digit carries. He's been talked about this offseason as catching 300 more balls on the jugs per day, or that he's practicing. He went from 7 catches as a rookie to 31 last year. He had a 75% catch rate last year and only 1 drop. Okay, so I know that everybody wants to talk about Keyshawn Vaughn and the rookie's coming in and he's going to be the receiver. And, you've even got Wale over there too that people want to talk about. But I think Ronald Jones is actually gearing up to be the lead back and maybe a bell cow as a guy you can keep on the field all the time with Tom Brady with the trust issue there. We've got a COVID offseason. We don't know what the rookies are going to do or what it's going to take. And then the touchdown upside alone with not only Tom Brady, but in a BA offense as the lead back, it's all there for me. I was between two guys who are back-to-back in ADP, Ronald Jones and Darius Geis. And I said, well, if I could make the case for Darius Geis just based on skill, sure, but he's got the injury risk for sure. But am I going to trust Washington to be a great enough offense to get you as a league winner, or Tampa Bay to be a great enough offense to be as a league winner? To me, it was Ronald Jones. I'm taking him at RB32, and I think people need to slow down a little bit on Keyshawn Vaughn and realize that Ronald Jones, he went from, I think, 1.9 yards per carry to 4.2 last year. He's increased. He's gotten better. We've wanted him to get better, and he has, and I think he has room to get even better this year.
I mean, he's got tremendous value and tremendous upside as your RB3 for sure. I mean, that would be awesome. Just like I love Matt Breida as a possible flex opportunity or my RB3. I mean, that'd be great. You are selling me a bit on this, Travis. I'm not gonna lie.
Well,
hey, I love that. After all that,
I do. Yeah. I also want to say as well. He, Travis talked about the jugs. Adding the 6 to 8 pounds is definitely really, really nice. And I want to say this as well. Like, Ronald Jones is younger than Keyshawn Vaughn. So, like, a lot of people don't know that. Like, Ronald Jones was really, really young when he came out of college, and so he is just developing this stuff. Like, again, we act like people can't get better in the offseason, and it's like it's just given the opportunity. And here's one thing I will say. I know BA pretty well because I watched a lot of Cardinals stuff over the while he was here. I still am a big fan, but like everyone in Arizona loved BA. And the one thing that we did not like about him that we will say was he did not play rookies when he should have. Like, David Johnson should have seen the field a lot sooner than what he did, but he didn't because
he's going to change that strategy in the COVID offseason. I just can't see that being the case. Like, I can't see it being like.
I think that's why he's agreeing with the case of Ronald Jones.
Yeah. So that's why, and I just think that Ronald Jones is presenting a great opportunity because he is going so much later in drafts. Now he will start to hit this hype train because he's already started. I mean, just 2 weeks ago he was 9th, 10th round, and since his information's shot up to like 7th round. So keep an eye on that. Hopefully it doesn't get too hot, but I do think that he is going to be the guy. We all want to, get this next big sleeper. And I am the biggest Ronald Jones hater. You can ask Travis. I'm the biggest Ronald Jones hater, but I do think that this year he will be a really good value for you.
All right. So Stepmom Lauren, we're moving on to wide receiver. We've talked about this year being so deep at wide receiver, but if you got to put your flag in the ground on one guy to be a league winner at wide receiver, who are you telling the nation to draft?
Cortland Sutton.
Oh, wow.
That's a good one.
I like this.
I know. Another kind of, like, really?
Well, no, these are good. You want people to be.
Cortland Sutton. I love what they're doing, what John Adaway is doing with the Broncos. I love Drew Lock, guys. I mean, Missouri. I mean, I'm a Mizzou graduate, so of course I love my alma mater. Of course I love my Mizzou Tigers. But Drew Lock is a gunslinger, but he's also surprisingly accurate. And he's young still. He only played 5 games last year. So he really likes to sling the ball down the field. So I really want to see what they're going to do next year with Cortland Sutton. But the most important thing is what they're going to have with Melvin Gordon, Phillip Lindsay, Royce Freeman, Jerry Jeudy, and Cortland Sutton. That allows him to be able to stretch the field, make these huge plays, be dynamic. I mean, there's a reason why Cortland Sutton was such a darling coming in last year. Actually, when was his rookie year? Was that last year?
It was 2 years ago. Last year was his second year. Yeah, this should be his really big breakout year.
Yeah, last year was his second year, and they were
breakout year. And I'm really excited to see. They're just surrounding Drew Lock with weapons, which helps all of these weapons out, especially Cortland Sutton. I'm very excited to see what he does. I think he could be a league winner.
This guy, what I love about Cortland Sutton is you talked about Drew Lock only having 5 games. Sutton produces with anybody that's playing quarterback. So he's kind of like that foolproof option where, I'm going to talk about a guy that maybe isn't the same way, but I love that he can do it with anybody. You talked about the weapons, which means actually more opportunities maybe for this offense and Cortland Sutton to get down the field. And I think, look, they traded away Emmanuel Sanders, because they knew Cortland Sutton wanted to be the man here, and he took on that challenge and did it.
I don't know if he wanted to or he just demanded it. Like he just took it because that's what it seemed like. He was like, no, you're no longer the guy. I am the wide receiver one here. I am the alpha.
So I want to talk about a guy in the same round going here, and I feel like he's just being slept on a little bit, and that's Juju Smith-Schuster is my league winner this year. Wide receiver 15 off the board in the 4th round, 405. Look, I know he missed 4 games with some of his own injuries. We had the Big Ben issue last year, but you take away that injury, and we've seen Big Ben out there throwing with Juju. What is the difference between his outlook last year and this year? Nothing. Like, we realized that he was a top 5 outlook wide receiver last year when AB left the team, and now we're talking about he's not a top 5 outlook this year? I don't think so, man. I think only 10 wideouts since 1920 have recorded 2,300 receiving yards in their first 2 seasons. Only 10 wideouts, and Juju is one of those wide receivers. He is the truth. He's not QB proof. I get that. So that's where the risk is. We were talking about Sutton. I think Sutton's a little more safer in my opinion, but that risk is baked into this 4th round ADP for Juju. Like, he is a top 5 guy for sure if everything's right. He's in a contract year. He's the undisputed number 1. If you look at the emergence of like Deontay Johnson in the offense, like you look at last year, Juju actually ran 59% of his routes from the slot as opposed to 56% in 2018. So I think his slot row is secure, which makes him get the better matchups against nickel cornerbacks. And then my last point I want to make here, if you look at the targets for Pittsburgh's number 1 in healthy seasons for Big Ben, the last 4 seasons, 168 targets. That was best for third best. 163 targets, that was second best. 154, that was 5th best. I had to double take on this one. 193 targets AB got like 4 years ago.
Wow.
That was only second best, which is kind of crazy. But still, the idea is that the number 1 in a Pittsburgh offense is going to get you upwards of 150 targets, and you'd be stupid to not try and invest in that, in my opinion, if Big Ben is healthy, and we've got a 4th round value on him. So as long as he stays there for me, this guy could definitely bring you home some championships this year.
And it's important to note that the Steelers have recognized that the outside experiment with Juju Smith-Schuster doesn't work. So they added Chase Claypool from the draft to move Juju Smith-Schuster back into the slot where he needs to be. He is not that great at creating separation, so he needs to run those routes that he's good at, and that is in the slot with Antonio Brown. Yeah, the AB bug in my ear. Also, I did draft him in my Scott Fishbowl, by the way.
Nice.
Just saying.
Hey.
Just in case.
Yeah, Johnny's been taking him in some mocks too.
Yeah. Roethlisberger. But Deontay Johnson is no joke. This was a rookie wide receiver that you guys I've said I'm not a big fan of, but he managed to break out not only in his rookie year, but with 2 backup NFL quarterbacks making their debut, and he still managed to be a beast. So imagine what he's going to be able to do with Ben Roethlisberger, which just makes things even better for Juju Smith-Schuster.
Agreed. Yeah. Johnny, what do you got as your wide receiver to win some people some leagues here?
Yeah, so I do like the Deontay Johnson pick a lot. The Juju pick. Deontay Johnson is a wonderful wide receiver. I drafted him, in my dynasty in the 18th round last year and had to cut him because my team was too stacked. I'll just leave that there.
Humble brag.
Yeah, humble brag, because since everyone else is doing it on the show.
Who's your league winner, Johnny? Give it to us.
All right, my league winner is Travis. Is not going to be happy with this. Like, he's gonna, and I'm ready for the heat. I'm ready for him to bring on the heat. Bring it on. I'm telling you right now, the league winner that you are going to want to get your hands on is wide receiver Mecole Hardman of the Kansas City Chiefs. And you make the face. I'm glad you did that, Travis. I'm glad you look like I just said something hideous to you, because 1, it means that you're going to stay away from him in our drafts so I can get him. And 2, I'm about to tell you why you need to get Mecole Hardman, and he is the league winner. All right. He is on the best offense in football. No question about it. He is on the best offense in football with one of the best coaches in football at getting his players open and getting his players the ball to their skill set. Now, people are going to say, well, he wasn't on the field a lot last year, and I don't want to invest in a guy that was, not even on the field for 40% on average all last year. And I will say, on the contrary, you should invest in that, because when he is on the field, this guy is beyond explosive. They want to get him the ball. He had 26 receptions on 41 targets last year for 538 yards and 6 touchdowns. 6 touchdowns on 26 receptions, which I understand is going to come down. The touchdown regression will come down. That's too many. But I will say, he was a wide receiver 3 or better on 50% of weeks last year in his rookie year in a crowded wide receiver.
Weeks were without Tyreek Hill.
Some of them were, but some of them were also when Sammy Watkins went out. And here's the thing. Sammy Watkins, welcome to the trash pile, dude. You're on the game time trash bin. You are trash. You need to be out of this offense. And that is going to happen this year because Mecole Hardman is going to take a step up in his route development. They already started to near the end of last year. And you know what's crazy? If you watch the tape, go back and watch this film. When they started to introduce new routes, you know what happened to those corners and the separation there? It went massively up. Why? Because so many people are afraid of his distance or his breakaway speed that they play off of him. Yeah, so if you start playing off because, Mecole Hardman's in, they're going to go deep, and they start running him on intermediate routes, look out. This guy has the talent to just get the ball in his hands, and he could do the rest. I'm telling you, 1106 is his ADP, wide receiver 46. Come on, sign me up any day of the week. This guy is going to be awesome. And if he takes over that wide receiver role with Tyreek Hill, how do you think corners and defenses are going to handle 2 speedsters that run a 4?
You mean 2 Tyreek Hills?
Yeah. Good luck.
Like the same person.
Exactly.
So fast.
So, yeah.
Hardman's great. Like, the talent's undeniable, Johnny. I think even the ADP, you can make a case, and I think he's a fine league winner. I'm not going to fight you on that. I will just say that I do want to fight you on the prospect that he's going to take over that wide receiver 2 role right away. Look, there are so many people in this offense. It's just the path would have to be injury, which I feel like you could bet on, or especially with COVID, you could bet on something happening ahead of him.
And Sammy Watkins.
Even in the month of January, but it's not even Sammy Watkins, Johnny. In the month of January, this was the snap breakdown. Tyreek Hill 90%, Sammy Watkins 85%, Demarcus Robinson 48%, and Mecole Hardman 28%. So all those players, and I didn't even mention Travis Kelce or CEH, who was drafted this year, who's going to demand targets too out of the backfield. So I love Mecole Hardman's talent. I love that he's on this offense, but it's going to take a couple things for him to get there for me. But like you said, you're getting him in what, the 11th round right now? Like, I think that's totally worth the stab. I think you're right there. I would just say, like, don't think that he's going to. The reason we brought up those rookies earlier is because they actually have a path right away to the number 1 in that offense. I don't know that McColl's got a clear path even to the number 2 in the offense. But it will be more worth those number 1s if he does become the number 2.
Even if you're the 3rd or 4th option in this offense, they're going to score 40 plus touchdowns this year. Like, as a team, give me a piece of that.
Well, that does it for the show. But Stepmom Lauren, we just got to thank you so much for coming back on the show. Whisper Nation, I know, is thrilled with it. You'll obviously be joining us for the mock draft marathon. But talk to us a little bit. What do you got going on in the works? What are some things coming up on your radar? Some things you'd like to plug here?
I am so glad you asked me that because one of the things we talked about last year was breakout Mark Andrews, tight end, remember? And
yeah.
For the fantasy footballers, and part of that was Mark Andrews. I'm doing that again this year. So I have 3 tight ends to remember. A name that might be interesting that no one really talks about much in the tight end landscape. I'll give you a hint.
I know what this is because we talked about it.
Boys.
Blake Jarwin, huh?
Yes, I like
All
Blake
right.
Jarwin. I'll lay it out why, but it's like, he's going super late. Take a stab on him. You never know. So I've got that in the works. So if y'all don't know me, I'm a writer for the Fantasy Footballers. I am also a writer now for Fantasy Pros. You guys can find me on all social media platforms at Stepmom Lauren, and you can find all my work, guest podcasts, articles, videos on my website, stepmomlauren.com. And I love talking with y'all, so come hit me up. Ask me some questions.
Make sure you don't search Stepmom Lauren. You type in stepmomlauren.com.
I've gotten her down to other pages. So if it's Stepmom Lauren,
perfect.
one word, Like one word stepmom, I'm like all of the first page. But if it's 2 words stepmom, she's like the third. So I that's a long way. Okay, like that's
Yeah, hell yeah. I love to hear it.
Yeah, there you go.
I like, yeah.
So now it's just like an OG inside joke. We're definitely just.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we appreciate you so much. We know Whisper Nation does. We appreciate you coming on here. Smash like and subscribe and go follow her on all the social media platforms. For Johnny Game Time Hicks, Chelsea Lee Byers, and Stepmom Lauren, I'm Big Travie. We're the Fantasy Whisperers. We're out. Peace.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Whisperers podcast. You can hear more from John and Travis on Google Play, SoundCloud, and iTunes. You can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at TF Whisperers.